Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lunch table. My name's Evan. Today, I'm joined with Nick, Peyton, and Zach. And today, we're doing our Mount Rushmore of NFL positions. So, top 4 all-time at each position. Today, we're just going to be doing the offense, and then the next one we'll be doing defense. But before we begin, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at lunchtable.takes, and also subscribe to the channel if you guys enjoy this episode. So, we'll start off with no further ado with the quarterback position. And Zach, I'll throw it your way. Who is your best quarterback? Number 1 quarterback on Mount Rushmore.
Okay, and just so that we're clear, we are going top 4 in order.
Yes.
In order? Okay.
Yeah, we'll do in order.
In order, top 4.
In order.
1 to 4.
So I think the best quarterback of all time, pretty unanimously, it's not an argument. It's Tom Brady.
Longevity.
Am I going to give my reason for that? The man played 23 years. He had 89,214 yards, 649 touchdowns. He had 58 game-winning drives, 15-time Pro Bowler, 7-time Super Bowl champion, 5-time MVP, 3-time league MVP. He's first in pretty much every quarterback statistical category. First in playoff wins, Super Bowls, obviously. I mean, the man has just done unreal things with his career. It's not a debate.
Tom number 1.
Yeah, I don't think we need to discuss that.
There's really not.
Best QB.
I think we all have Tom Brady at number 1.
Yeah,
It's pretty easy.
There's no real reason.
His resume is, it's undeniable. He is one of the best athletes of all time.
Yeah.
We might disagree about number 2, I'm feeling, though.
Number 2?
Yeah.
So we're heading to number 2 then?
Yeah.
There's just not a lot to say.
Not a lot to say.
Everyone's talked about Tom Brady before,
Yeah, we all...
we get it.
It's pretty unanimous.
That's not where the debate starts.
No, yeah. But, it's fun to talk about his, GOAT career.
Absolutely.
But, so we're going to number 2 then?
Sure.
Number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, this is where the true debate starts. But I have Joe Montana at number 2. He's 4 Super Bowls, 40,000 yards, 273 touchdowns. He played 16 years. He missed one with an injury. But 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, 4-time Super Bowl, 3-time Super Bowl MVP. He won the MVP twice. He led, the 49ers, those teams were some of the best football teams, I think, ever. He led that team, and I'm going to go with John Montana.
Peyton Manning was better.
Okay.
Yep.
I knew Nick had Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning was better.
Okay.
Here's my first reason. Joe Montana was replaced by Steve Young, and
he
Steve
won
Young
Super
played
Bowl.
better in that team.
Yeah.
In every way. It's hard for me to put Joe Montana there. He was on a super team. Like when we're talking about wins, I don't think it's great in NFL discussions. Like, these players aren't like going in on one-on-one cage match.
But if we're talking about wins, Peyton Manning's Colts team had the most regular season wins in a 10-year span in NFL history.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's true, too.
Yeah. The 2000 Colts from 1999 to 2009, or the last year where they lost to the Saints in the Super Bowl. That 10-year period, those Colts teams had the most regular season wins by a team in 10 years in NFL history.
Yeah, and on top of that, I think eye test is really important for quarterbacks. Peyton Manning can do a lot of things Joe Montana can't do.
What are they?
Throw the ball better. He makes better throws. He makes better throws.
Well, define eye test. Like, what does that mean?
Okay, so watch Mitch Trubisky throw a ball, and then watch Patrick Mahomes throw a ball.
Okay. I just
They
didn't
can
know what you
make
mean by
different
eye
throws.
test.
I think to be better than someone, you should have
A
better
style of
skills.
play.
Yeah.
I'm not going to really
Play
argue
the
this
sport
one.
better.
I don't
Yeah.
really. I mean,
And
I'm not
the
a massive Joe Montana fan, so I'm not going to really stand up and argue this.
Throwing
much.
throwing
my
300
opinion.
yards in a game to a wide open Calvin Johnson versus throwing 300 yards in a game to a bunch of no-name receivers is very different too.
Are you implying Peyton Manning had no-name receivers? Because he
No.
absolutely did not.
I'm
Okay, good.
talking about eye test differences.
Okay, all right.
You can't just look at stats with these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, the argument for Montana over Manning is postseason success, which is that's fair. You have to factor that into account. But a lot of times, Peyton Manning was not the reason the Colts teams lost, especially
Hardly
earlier
ever.
on in his career.
Hardly ever.
Yeah. Or
one of his Super Bowls was won in spite of him.
Yeah. Yeah, but and a lot of times where he didn't play well, the rest of his team also didn't show up, so it wouldn't have even mattered.
Yeah.
That is one thing. I think that is one slight knock on Manning is that one of his 2 Super Bowls was won completely.
He got carried. Yeah,
and that is one of his 2, whereas Montana has 4. Yes, he played on a super team, I guess. But
Montana
he
never
played a legendarily good defense.
Montana never played a team in the Super Bowl that was worse than his, or better than his. That's what I meant.
Those Niners teams were so stacked. I mean, they had the greatest players at 3 of their
best
3 positions I can think of right now.
Yeah. What, secondary, wide receiver, quarterback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were one of the best teams ever, but they were also led by one of the best quarterbacks
Plus,
ever. So.
Peyton Manning has the regular season success that Joe Montana does not have. Joe Montana made his name in the postseason. And when you're factoring in a score where it's 11-on-11 and not 5-on-5 or 1-on-1, I think you have to factor in what they did for the entirety of that season.
Not just 11-on-11. You got coaching, too.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of factors with football.
So Manning, and then what do you got?
I have Joe Montana, so I'm with
Joe
you.
Montana's 3rd for me.
Joe Montana's.
I'm glad that someone's siding with me.
Yes, I got you on that one. So Montana has the highest QB rating in Super Bowl all time at 127.8. He has the most passes thrown without an interception, 122 in 4 games. And yes, that obviously is with his Super Bowl success. But, I mean, he's no slouch in the regular season either, winning MVP honors in 89 and 90, 8-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro. And I mean, they call him Cool Joe and Comeback Kid for a reason. So I mean, and wide range before Tom Brady was Tom Brady. The greatest quarterback was Joe Montana.
Yeah, I think that's also the other thing too. It was pretty consensusly that Joe Montana was the best until Brady went and won 7 Super Bowls. And did what he did with his career. But I do think you guys not really banging on Joe Montana's regular season, but I do think that the man won what was it? 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All Pro. And 2-time MVP. That's speaking to something there,
in comparison to Peyton Manning's regular season stats, it's just not as good.
Well,
it's not even close.
What happened to the Colts when Peyton Manning left?
They completely bottomed out.
Yeah,
they went 2-14.
What happened to the Niners when Joe Montana left?
They did. Well, they had another Hall of Fame quarterback come right up too,
who played better than him.
I'm just saying that they had another Hall of Fame quarterback.
Steve Young's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, he is. I know that. But are people saying Steve Young is better than Joe Montana?
He played
better on that team than Joe Montana ever did.
Yeah. You didn't play as long with him.
I don't know. I can't argue this as much because I never watched the guy actually play.
You could make an argument that if Steve Young got his shot earlier, he could have done just as good, if not better, with those Niners teams.
But there's that though with that Colts take. Yeah, the Colts aggressively fell off, but they also did not have another Hall of Fame quarterback step right in his shoes when he left. So
I'm not saying just because another Hall of Fame quarterback came in. I'm just saying they were not worse. They were not any worse when Joe Montana left.
I'd hope not with another quarterback of his caliber. He's almost a top 5 quarterback.
They were, in fact, improved. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if they were improved, but it was very.
How many Super Bowls did Steve Young?
He only won 1.
Yeah, the man. Joe Montana's got 4.
I think that was when the Cowboys were also.
The 90s Cowboys.
90s, yeah.
So
unbelievably stacked team.
Yeah, I have Peyton Manning at 3, so it's not really that much.
We have Montana at 3.
Yeah, it's not really that big of a difference. But I do think that like you said, Evan, until Tom Brady did his thing, Joe Montana was pretty consensusly the best of all time.
Yeah.
So
Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were at the same era, though.
Yeah, that's true.
But Brady played a lot longer than Manning did too, though, because Brady won 2 Super Bowls after Manning left.
I think he came in the league 3 years after.
Peyton Manning retired in 20.
Drafted in 98, right? 99?
98 was when Manning was drafted.
Yeah, and then
the
Brady
great
was
Ryan
drafted
Leaf.
in 2000.
Yeah, the great Ryan Leaf.
The great Ryan.
He was a Tennessee boy.
Underrated players in NFL history, Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, he was great for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Loved having him.
I love having him. Yeah, I feel like after 1, that's when the debate starts.
Yeah.
I feel like we all did. Everyone consistently has Brady, but then you start getting into the 2 through 5 is where the real debate happens.
Yep.
But I see both sides. Like you said, we both have Peyton at 3, and you guys have Joe Montana at 3. So it's basically just flipped. But
tough argument there.
A lot of lists that I saw were that exact same. Had Peyton Manning at 2 or Montana at 3.
Yeah,
a lot of them were switched.
I think that Brady is, in terms of quarterbacks, he's on his own tier, and then Montana and Manning are on another tier right below them. And then, the next tier down, there's 5 or 6 different guys you can throw there.
Yeah.
in terms of who you
I mean,
have.
I don't really know if I want to say that though, because there are five. I mean, like those 5 or 6 different guys are all-time greats as well.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to.
But they're not. They're not on the same tier.
I mean,
as
you got
Manning
like
or
Montana. Manning and Montana, then you got like
Yeah.
Breeze, Favre, Elway, like Steve Young,
Yeah.
Johnny Unitas, Aaron Rodgers, like those type of dudes.
Yeah. But I mean, Brady is in a league of his own.
Yeah.
I don't think his
in
stuff's
terms of
gonna ever be
quarterbacks,
touched.
yeah. It's not even a contest.
Yeah.
Yep.
So are we on to 4 then? Because we pretty much covered
1, 2, 3 are all locks.
Yeah.
Fourth one's where it gets hard. You have to kind of make some
I mean,
cuts.
one more thing about Peyton Manning, because I didn't really talk much about Peyton Manning, but I mean, he played 17 seasons with the Colts and the Broncos, won 5 MVPs, named All-Pro 10 times, was invited to Pro Bowl but 3 of his seasons, so 14 times. He has single season, or he's second all-time in career wins with 200. He played 4 Super Bowls, winning twice, was MVP when he was with the Colts.
I think he also somewhat like revolutionized the whole like audible at the line for quarterbacks too.
In terms of when it
in
was
the heat
already
of the
like
moment.
lined up,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think he kind of revolutionized that for the quarterback position too.
I think when you're talking about Peyton Manning, one thing you have to mention too is breaking his neck
And coming back and
going to
winning
the
another
Broncos,
Super Bowl.
MVP.
having the best quarterback season of all time. After that,
I do, yeah. I think
Arguably,
I
yeah.
think it needs to be mentioned that he does also hold the single season touchdown record at 55.
He broke it twice.
That is
Yeah.
absurd. 55 touchdowns in 1 year.
That's insane.
That is one
also
thing.
the single season passing yards record in that same season.
The only other
those will be broken for sure.
well, yeah.
they will be, but it's still absurd to throw 55 times. I mean, there's only been 3 guys to ever even come close to that, and Manning with 55, and then Brady
did
and
it once,
Mahomes
and
at
Mahomes
50.
did it once, yeah.
So, and like that's three quarterbacks happen one time. Throw for 50 or more. That's pretty crazy.
Very late in his
after he
career,
broke
too.
his neck. Very late.
Yeah.
I think was that the year that they got
2017.
blown out by the Seahawks?
Yeah, that was the
Yes.
year where Seattle.
Yeah.
That's kind of a blemish at the end of it. But,
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, it doesn't really take away.
I don't think
from that,
any
though.
quarterback
I mean,
in NFL history could have beaten Seattle that night.
that was
That
one of the best football teams.
was the
ever
best
assembled.
football team I think I've ever seen. That 20.
Both sides of the ball. That was
Yeah.
a very good team.
Like Peyton Manning would have had to play the best game in NFL history.
It just kind of
to keep
sucks
him
that he
at
got
20
blown
wins.
out.
Yeah.
Like that kind of is a huge blemish.
What's
But
more impressive is he had that season at 37 too.
after he broke his neck.
Yeah. So like it wasn't because when he in 2004 when they went pretty far. I mean, he had 49 touchdowns and 4,500 yards, but then he just
Also crazy.
stepped that up even more at age 37 is crazy.
Yeah. Peyton Manning was pretty good football player there.
I mean,
Just slightly above
even
that.
going back to like college days, like he was unreal at Tennessee.
Back in his Tennessee boy days. Yeah.
I mean, so yeah. I mean, Peyton Manning's got a
Go
full
Vols.
resume on him for sure. Definitely. All right, 4.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I think we're all probably gonna have different ones for this one. But I went with my 4 is Johnny Unitas. I think he played 18 years with the Baltimore Colts. And
I mean,
I'm,
technically,
I slightly counted that. When I said I had like 4 guys on the Colts, I counted that guy. But yeah, he played for the Baltimore Colts for like 18 years. When I looked at his stats, like I was just shocked because he played in like the 50s and 60s, and he had 40,239 yards and 290 career touchdowns in the 50s. Like that was back when defenses would murder you, and it was a run.
they could murder you in the confines of
Yeah,
the game.
and it was a run, and it was a heavy run first league. So just taking that into account, having 40,000 yards and almost 300 touchdowns, I mean that was I was shocked when I saw those stats, honestly. But that's not it though. He won 10 Pro Bowls, 5-time All-Pro. He won 1 Super Bowl, and he was a 3-time NFL champion. That was before the leagues merged, and it was the Super Bowl. 3-time MVP, and I think the thing for me that really kind of pushed him at my number 4 spot was how he like revolutionized the quarterback position, because he was the first quarterback to ever orchestrate and do a 2-minute drill. And he did that in the NFL championship. He like orchestrated the 2-minute drill. Mm-hmm. He drove down the field and won the game, calling his own plays in a hurry up 2-minute offense. And he just like Johnny Unitas completely revolutionized and changed the quarterback position into what we know as the modern quarterback before he played So I think for me that was why I had to put him at 4 because of that. There were other guys, like Marino and Elway that were up there, but I just think with how he revolutionized the position, I think he deserves that spot.
That's fair. Yeah.
Fair.
Well, I have Breeze.
That's a fair one.
I could have my mind changed on this. I think I would pick a different person every day. Oh, a Charger. So you just said, okay. Yeah, I'll put Phil Rivers there.
I mean, Breeze.
He did play for the Chargers.
Yeah, Breeze is technically a Charger.
Breeze was always really good at the quarterback position. Crap ton of yards. He was the yards leader.
Oh, his stats were out the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy spread the ball insanely well. I feel like he just did everything you wanted a quarterback to do really well for a really long time.
Yeah, Drew Brees was an awesome, prototypical NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed watching the year he retired. I can't remember what year that was. It was a few years ago when he retired. I really enjoyed watching him and Tom Brady go back and forth for all-time records.
That was awesome.
Because Breeze had the all-time record, Brady broke it, and then Breeze broke it, and he retired, and then Brady obviously broke it again. But they were going back and forth for that yards record. That was fun to watch between the two of them. Those are two, we talk about Brady and Manning, those were two greats, and that was an all-time war. But I think Brady and Breeze, those are two all-time greats too for sure.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of the way Breeze played the game. I could replace him though with Unitas at any point, just for or Marino. I think I read a stat that if you increased Marino, the season Marino, his best season, if they pass the ball as much as they do today, he would have 73 touchdowns.
It's
Ridiculous.
Dan Marino was the guy I was going to put in,
Yeah.
and then I said, no, you got to put Johnny Unitas in there. But it was going to be Marino. His release time was 0.3 seconds. It was just absurd. And I mean, if you watch highlights on him, the dude just releases it real quick, and he just uncorks
the pure definition of a gunslinger.
Only guy to beat the 85 Bears.
Yeah, he was
I was just talking about that.
Yeah.
No, Dan Marino was the Patrick Mahomes before Patrick Mahomes.
He would thrive today.
Yeah, he would for sure.
Yeah.
Just his release time is just so insanely quick, and I was just impressed by how fast he would release the ball and how far he could throw it with how fast. Because normally you think, if you're just gonna uncork it, you gotta load up and just. No, the dude just 50, 60 yards
Insane
on a dot.
No one was coached to play like that too. He
No.
was the first.
He truly was the first Patrick Mahomes.
The first gunslinger.
He was. Yeah.
Legend.
I have Drew Brees as well. I think just with his size at 6 foot, but we all know he's probably a little bit shorter than that. 13-time Pro Bowler. He's second in NFL history in passing yards with 80,358. His first he's up there in completions with over 7,000, touchdown passes over 571. He's second in all-time completion percentage behind the one, the only Joe Burrow.
Oh yes, sir.
It was only played 3 seasons, but still.
Hey, he's gonna get better.
Breeze holds the record for consecutive games with a touchdown past 54. He's the fastest quarterback to reach the 60,000 and 70,000 yard milestones. He's fourth all time in career regular season wins at 172. And the only thing that you can really knock on him is his playoff record. He's 9-9 in the playoffs, only one Super Bowl, but I still think he.
Talk about that one Super Bowl.
But I still think when you look at his.
I don't want to talk about it.
But I think if you look at overall body of work, I think he deserves to be at that spot at 4.
Let's hear it, Nick.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, I have Marino at 4. I think there are 5 guys that you could make a really strong case for 4th overall best quarterback in NFL history. I went with Marino because of his style of play. He was, like you said, he was the first Patrick Mahomes. He was doing things that Patrick Mahomes does regularly well. Patrick Mahomes wasn't even thought of as a person.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you adjusted, I think it was his 1984 season, which I think is the best single season in NFL history. If you adjusted it to how much they throw the ball today, like you said, 73 touchdowns.
It's ridiculous.
Like that, the numbers in that
is
season
absurd.
still hold up so unbelievably well today. And I've been hearing stories from my dad about how good he was when he played, so I've seen a ton of his games on
Yeah.
film. If there's one player I would want to see play in today's NFL, it's Dan
Oh,
Marino
for
without
sure.
hesitation.
Oh,
Yeah. The only thing that you can blemish on his career is the fact that
He never won a ring.
He went to one Super Bowl,
Yeah.
lost, and never went back.
Yeah, he lost to the Niners. He lost to the Niners in the 80s.
But I don't even want to take that into consideration, considering how good he really was.
He had no run support, very little defensive support.
Well, and that's what I was talking with my dad about it, because we were discussing this quarterback list too, and he was saying if Marino had the supporting cast of some of these Montana or Manning or some of these other guys that are in the top four, if Marino would have had that supporting cast, he'd have won multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
We haven't really mentioned him either. I think Aaron Rodgers needs to be in this discussion too. He was doing things that Mahomes does regularly while Mahomes was in middle school.
Would you take Rodgers over Favre?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
without hesitation.
Yes. Yeah.
Without
Oh,
hesitation.
Yeah.
And this is not even related to all the things Favre has done.
Yeah.
Since he's left the league, it's no secret he's a terrible person. But even before all that came out, I would still take.
I would
Rodgers
take
Favre.
Rodgers as well.
Rodgers over
I
Favre
was just
without
curious what
hesitation.
you'd say. I'd take Rodgers.
The missed possessions is probably what said that.
Yeah,
for me.
the turnovers that
Yeah.
Favre would do.
Yeah, he was.
Stupidly.
Yeah, he was a gambler. That's for sure.
Aaron Rodgers is the opposite of that. One of the most secure.
He is. But Brett Favre was just he was fun because he was one of those guys that you have to take the good with the bad, because he would give you a million turnovers, but he'd also give you a
The
buttload of yards
first
and a lot of wins.
half
so.
of Favre's career was incredible.
Yeah.
But the second half was
Yeah.
incredibly up and down.
Yeah.
Like,
He was inconsistent.
One year he'd go to conference championship games. The other year he'd have more interceptions and
Yeah.
touchdowns.
Aaron Rodgers just doesn't seem to he just can't seem to get over the postseason hump.
It's not his fault most of the time.
It's
At
the
all.
time.
We'll see now with the Jets.
I was
we'll
gonna say
see
the
with the
Jets,
Jets.
but 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago?
That was bad.
I was gonna say that
bad.
was his fault.
Yeah,
He
that
played
was
like that.
absolutely.
Oh, the Niners one.
Yeah,
Yes.
when they
Oh,
lost.
yeah.
Yeah, that was his
That was
fault.
in was that in the wild?
It
It was
Divisional
at the division.
That was
round,
after
yeah.
the Packers. Were
The Niners walked into their place and smacked them.
Yeah, I remember.
and they were the
They
one
wasn't
seed.
the smack.
Yeah,
They
the
lost
The
by a
score
touchdown.
didn't show it, but
yeah.
it was beat down.
The Packers constantly shot themselves in the foot that whole
The
game.
Packers played horribly.
Yeah,
They didn't generate a lot of offense.
but
But no, Aaron Rodgers, yeah.
his first ever postseason game, he scored 45 points and lost.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think he has a better. No, Tom Brady has a better postseason record when he throws 3 or more interceptions than Aaron Rodgers does when he throws 3 or more touchdowns.
That's an
That's
interesting
absurd.
stat.
That's a real stat.
Interesting.
Most of the time, Rodgers' loss has not been his fault.
Yeah.
His same thing with his style
Yeah.
of play. We've all watched him throughout his whole.
Yeah,
career.
no, Aaron Rodgers is really freaking
I just
good.
brought it up because no one mentioned him, and I think he has to be.
'Cause I think-
talked about
I-
too.
I don't really know if Aaron Rodgers is worthy of a top 5 spot, considering the other 4 that we've all said, and then obviously Dan Marino and John Elway. But I do
I
think
don't think Elway's in this conversation.
John Elway's not.
I do think Aaron Rodgers is like a 6 though.
I have him.
He's
at
over John Elway.
5, I think.
See, I would personally have Marino at 5 because I have Unitas at 4.
I'd
So
have,
I would have Rodgers at
Unitas
like
at 6.
I would have Rodgers at 6 or 7 because I didn't have Breeze, so I'd have Rodgers at 6 or 7 because I got to throw Breeze in there too.
Yeah,
That's fair.
But he's like an honorable mention.
yeah. My four is Dan Marino, just because the style of play for his time period was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And when he retired, he held almost every single record that you could hold at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
And when he retired in '99, so you have to factor that into account as well.
For sure.
This list I'm looking at has Dan Marino at 10.
That's
What?
a terrible ranking.
That's ridiculous.
Name the 9 quarterbacks.
What
ahead of him
website
right
is
now.
this?
So they have Steve Young at 9. They have Aaron Rodgers at 8. They have Johnny Unitas at 7. Brett Favre at 6. John Elway at 5. Drew Brees at 4. Joe Montana at 3. Peyton Manning at 2.
Why
Brady
is
at
Brett
1.
Brett
Favre?
Favre's way too
I
high.
think that top 5 is reasonable,
The top 5 isn't terrible, but
Brett
why is
Favre
Favre
is way
at
too
6?
Favre's not 6.
Favre's barely top 10, if that.
high. Favre is.
If you really love him, you can put him in the top 10.
Yeah. I don't really love him. So.
I think
If you have a
I think he's
personal
lost
thing,
a
You're
lot
like
of
a
fans
lifelong
lately.
Packers guy.
then you'll put him in the top 10 for
Yeah.
sure. If you're a lifelong Packers
Or
guy,
if you're-
theoretically, you can have 2 to 3 quarterbacks.
Or if you're
in
a
the top
Southern
10.
Miss volleyball supporter,
Yeah,
you'd
for
throw
sure.
him there too.
Also, Nick, fun fact. John Elway was once a Baltimore Colt.
I did know that. John Elway and
But he
Peyton
never
Manning-
played it. But he never played it down.
Elway and Manning have won more Super Bowls for the Broncos and the Colts.
Yep.
And they were all drafted.
He got
by-
drafted number 1 overall and then immediately
He
got
just
traded.
refused to play for Indy.
Wasn't he the one that did, like he said, I'm not signing with you?
Yeah. He did the Eli Manning
He did the Eli.
before Eli Manning did it.
Yeah.
Who did Eli Manning get drafted by again? Who was it?
Chargers.
Chargers, that's what I thought it was.
And then
he
he said
nope.
he's not playing for him, and then got traded to the.
That is, you
I
don't,
actually watched like
you
a
don't see that every day.
docu-series or something like that, and it's actually like really like apparently the Chargers didn't make the trade until like the second like the clock hit 0. Like they didn't make because, or maybe it was
I'm
because
wondering-
somebody wanted Phil Rivers to fall to them, and then they made that trade, and then the guy. Was
I'm wondering
mad, like,
why Eli
But it was
Manning
really
just like refused to play for the Chargers. Like I
I don't know.
or John
Cheap
Elway
ownership.
with the Colts. Like I'm just like why?
The
Chargers
Colts
have
in the
always had cheap
80s were a
ownership.
dumpster fire.
I mean, I
The
guess
Colts
so.
were really bad in the 80s.
But like
but still,
like
you
that.
never really
Okay,
see
so the Colts are terrible. John Elway says I'm not playing for you. That'd be the equivalent of Burrow saying he's not playing for the Bengals when they drafted him. Like why would you do that?
It's different now.
Well,
If
it also-
you're the
it
number
also
one overall
takes,
pick,
like-
you get tens of millions of dollars.
It also
Yeah,
comes
sure.
down to like character too.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I mean, it worked out for Eli. I mean,
I mean, it
sure
worked
he
out for
wouldn't
both
do
of
it
them,
anyway.
honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't think that Roethlisberger, Rivers, or Manning would be better at any other of those teams that they got drafted to.
I think
it worked out.
They
for
had
all.
really similar careers.
Yeah.
They all did, yeah.
Rivers had the best counting stats. Eli Manning had the most team
ring.
success, and
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger was kind of the mix.
yeah.
Best peak.
Yeah.
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 That was a good draft class. Moving on to running backs.
Oh, this one's interesting. I don't know if I have these ordered. Hold on.
I think running backs really isn't that difficult, honestly.
While you get them in order, I'll throw it over to Zach for his number 1.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess like for me, like listing my 4 wasn't difficult. It was like who's first was what's kind of difficult for me. But I went with Barry Sanders. I think Barry Sanders was just absolutely ridiculous at the running back position. I mean, he only played 10 years too. He retired young, like most Lions greats do. He had over 15,000 yards. He had 99 rushing touchdowns. He was a Pro Bowler every year he was in the league. He was an All-Pro 8 of the 10 years. He won the MVP as a running back. He was 2-time Offensive Player of the Year, 1-time Rookie of the Year, obviously. And I mean, he didn't have a Super Bowl or anything like that, but that's because he played for the Lions.
Yeah.
And I think if you just watch him play, I mean, just his shiftiness and just his like, he wasn't like a bulldozing tank running back. He was just so dang fast and shifty. I mean, he was just unreal. Like people couldn't touch him. Like he would turn guys around in 3 different circles on the same play. Like just an absolutely unreal running back, unreal career, cut short because he played for the Lions. But yeah, it was a tough one. But I think Barry Sanders is very deserving of the best of the 1 spot.
He's probably the most skilled running back ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, sure. I have Walter Payton. No one ran with more heart. I love Walter Payton. This is probably a biased pick. I just love Walter Payton a lot. I think no running back really measures up to the heart that guy ran with. He didn't have the shiftiness of Barry Sanders or whatever, but I think he's one of the greatest players of all time.
He ran
Walter
tough.
Payton. Yeah.
He also never ran out of bounds. That's a fun fact about him. He never purposely ran out of bounds. He always lowered his shoulder.
Smash mouth football.
Yeah, Walter Payton definitely was not the shifty guy, but he was the smash mouth running back.
He got it done.
Yeah.
He not aggressively.
He aggressively ran the ball.
He did aggressively run
He
the
was
ball.
a mean runner.
He was a mean, and he was on that Bears team, and that was when the Bears were really good. And
85 Bears.
he was like the offensive focal point of that team easily,
They did not give him a touchdown in the Super Bowl, though, unfortunately.
which is just absurd.
They gave it to the damn D tackle.
They handed it to the fridge.
Yeah. I will never forgive
They
that.
handed it to
Yeah,
the fridge.
that was scummy, but no, I can get behind Walter Payton.
Mine, like Weaves, is another player who didn't play very long. 9 seasons in the NFL is Jim Brown. I have him at first. He averaged more. He's the only running back in NFL history to average more than 100 yards per game, 104.3 to be
I thought
exact.
Barry Sanders had over 100 yards too.
Well, he has more.
Okay.
He also holds the record for most yards per carry at 5.2. He was an 8-time NFL rushing champion, 4-time MVP, 8-time All-Pro, and obviously a Hall of Famer. Yeah, in only 9 seasons he did all of that. Plus he added a Super Bowl to that. And so I think
championship.
Before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the
Browns never won a Super Bowl.
My bad, sorry.
Can't mix that up.
The Bengals haven't either. So.
Wait, we've been to 3.
Championship. But I think he's one of the greats. But I think I mean Barry Sanders and Walter Payton are also right up there.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
See, this is why I said I think the top 4 running backs isn't a difficult thing to think of. It's just
top
who's
3 or
who's
not.
won is
it's
what's
just the
difficult.
order.
Fourth one's a little difficult, I think.
Yeah, the 4th one's a little bit iffy. The top 3 are pretty easy, but it's just like, man, who do I put
What
on?
order
You
you
know?
got,
Yeah. So who you
Jim
got?
Brown was also another tough nose runner.
Oh my gosh, dude, he was crazy.
Fun fact about Jim Brown: he never got tackled for a loss.
There you go.
Whoa.
Jim Brown
Very
also.
impressive.
Jim
Thank you
Brown.
for the Browns.
Yeah.
Jim Brown was also hey, that was when the Browns were really
Browns
good.
were really
The
good.
Browns
I
were
know.
nasty
I just-
before the NFL.
I know, I'm just kidding.
But and he also was an actor. He quit after 9 years to be an actor. So and yeah, he was a absolute freak running back. He might be one of the most talented running backs. I mean, he was a big, tall, strong dude, but he was fast and out get out. He was shifty. I mean, he would run through guys. Jim Brown was nasty. I have him at 2 for reference.
Yeah.
He was nasty.
My one is also Walter Payton, for the main reason that he was the offensive focal point of that Bears team. Like, whenever you game planned against the Bears in the 80s, your entire defensive game plan was stop Walter Payton by any means necessary, and no one could do it.
Yep.
Combine that with the fact that I think he's the hardest runner in NFL history, and everything that he's done for the game. I think it's very difficult. But I think Walter Payton, because of his style of play, in terms of true smash mouth football at the running back position, I would have him at 1 for me.
Yeah.
I agree.
I
agree.
yeah. Like I said, I have Jim Brown at 2. You hit it. So he's my 2. You hit everything there.
I got Barry Sanders at 2.
Yeah, I got
Respect
Barry at 2. As
The
well.
best.
Same.
The best ever.
Yeah. So we went through.
Incredibly shifty, fast, small dude.
Yeah, you kind of nailed it when you were talking
ran
about
super
Barry
well.
Sanders.
He had everything.
Yeah.
I mean, played just 10 seasons, won 2 MVPs, 4 rushing titles, and was a Pro Bowl in all 10 seasons.
And he played in
And he has countless of rushing records.
And he,
Yeah.
like, Barry Sanders was, I think, well, maybe not of. Barry Sanders was one of the more modern guys on my list of top 4. Like, he was one of the more recent running backs, and he won the MVP at running back.
Yeah.
And as we know today, the MVP is strictly quarterback award.
There's another guy that won the MVP running back recently. I have him on here too.
Yeah. But, I mean, Barry Sanders is still fairly recent.
If you watch Barry Sanders highlights too, he is getting attacked in the
By
backfield.
everyone.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know.
The whole
The
team.
Lions' offensive lines were
Yeah.
awful.
And he still had
he's-
15,000 yards.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy what he got done.
Yeah.
If only Detroit didn't end careers so quickly.
Dang Lions,
Should be
man.
punished for their sins against football.
So,
I mean, they already kind of are. They've never been to a Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
Yeah.
So,
They're turning it around, though.
Yeah, not too bad.
we'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
We
I
thought the
guess.
Browns were 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Look at
that's
that
true too. But yeah. So we've hit all these guys. I have Walter Payton at 3, which was kind of tough for me to do that because I like Walter Payton a lot too. But I really do feel like Barry Sanders and Jim Brown. I mean, I think that it's fair, you know.
Yeah.
But
I can't.
I have
be
Payton
too
at
mad
3.
at that.
I have Payton at 3. It was hard for me to put him there too.
Yeah.
You
But-
can make an argument for any order. I feel like.
Within those top 3, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
The 4th one, like you said, it gets a little iffy. But
Yeah. So we both have Jim Brown at 3.
At 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Jim
yeah,
Brown.
I have Walter Payton.
Walter Payton at 3.
I think Jim Brown is the Wilt Chamberlain of the NFL.
Oh,
In
yeah.
terms of if he played today, he would absolutely still be as effective. But when you factor in competition level, like you
I
had,
just played so long ago.
I was watching some like highlights and like some tape on like Jim Brown and some of these other guys today, and I would love to see a running back like that in today's NFL. Like, I mean, with the way the league is, like, I mean, it's a pass first league, and I'm okay with that. I love throwing the ball. I like the way the NFL is now. I mean, except I wish it was a little bit more physical. But I like pass first. But dude, I would love to see a Jim Brown type running.
you would love
like,
to have a team where you go in the backfield and whenever he gets the ball, you know he's just gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like, you know, like, we have the Titans. with Derrick Henry, but I mean, I would like to see him more like athlete, like Jim Brown was like 6'2", and he wasn't like just a hulking monster. He was like he was a big, strong, athletic guy, but he wasn't like a 250-pound Henry.
Yeah, he was
and he was
6'2",
fast.
230.
Like he was fast. You
That's
know?
pretty huge, though.
Yeah,
He was 230.
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
It was
he was a tank.
It was Eric. It was Eric. Well, I mean, I'd love to see him too, but no, it was Eric Dickerson. I was watching Eric Dickerson highlights, and he was a little bit skinnier. He was like 6'3".
Yeah.
He like. I would love to see like a tall, like a track athlete type of running back in the NFL. Like one that's like a powerful runner, but like real fast and just like real smooth when they run. Like I would love to see
Marshall
a running
Faulk.
back. Yeah, like I would love to see a running back like that in today's NFL. And unfortunately, we don't have that. But just watching highlights of some of these guys, I was like, oh man, I'd love to see a running back like that today. But anyways, though,
Seems to be a dying position.
it is for sure. It is.
It's
You're very replaceable as a running back in the NFL. Is the problem?
Which is kind of sad because running back used to be the focal point, and now it's kind of like they're extremely replaceable. But I would love to see a team that they're still a pass first team for the most part, but they're balanced and they got good receivers, good quarterback. But I'd love to see a team like that have a like Jim Brown, Eric Dickerson type running back. Like that would be. I'd love to see that in today's NFL. But
Number 4, then.
yes, 4. I got
I don't think anyone will agree with mine, but it's okay.
I know who your 4 is. It's somewhat valid. But I got Emmitt Smith at 4. I think that's also valid. He ran behind the best offensive line of all time. So you do that is something that you do take into consideration. However, I do still think he was just unreal good. He played 15 years at a running back position. He had over 18,000 yards, and he had 164 rushing touchdowns.
Pretty good.
8-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl MVP, and he won the league MVP, and the Offensive Player of the Year, or Offensive Rookie of the Year. I realized
He
that
did everything you could as a running back.
and more.
Yeah.
I realized that he had the best offensive line in the history of football in front of him, but still, to have a couple hundred yards shy of 19,000 career yards and 164 touchdowns rushing, that's not accounting for receiving too. That is just my eyes were popping when I saw that. I was like, wow, that's absurd. So I think Emmitt Smith is my 4.
I have LaDainian Tomlinson, LT. I don't have any stats up. He has the single season touchdown rushing record. I believe it's 36 or something.
No, it's
not that high.
no, it's
27?
20. It's 20 something.
28.
28.
Yeah.
28 touchdowns. And that was in a modern offense. He was the engine of a modern offense. He has the record for rushing touchdowns in a season. Oh, it's more because he has receiving too.
Yeah,
That's just rushing.
He ranks.
Yeah.
So he was the engine of that Chargers offense. I think he's the best modern running back without a doubt. Past 2000, I don't think anyone's really that close either. So
Past 2000, yeah, probably.
I don't think
I mean,
anyone's
the only
Marshall
one,
Faulk.
The only one.
he was in the 90s a bit. Though.
The only one that.
Well, he was a bit in the 90s, but he played.
The only one that you could say is Adrian Peterson. But still,
LT's better.
I think
LT's better.
LT's
I would take LT over Adrian Peterson,
Yeah.
but I do think
I think
Marshall Faulk. I think is.
Marshall Faulk, I would put it 5. I almost put him on.
Marshall Faulk started in '94.
He's the first modern running back too. Caught a lot of
He
passes.
kind of was because he caught a lot of passes and he blocked well too.
Yeah, a little bit smaller, caught passes.
I do like LaDainian Tomlinson though. I would definitely take him at 5.
I just think he was really dominant when running backs were not dominant. I had to put him on.
I mean, LaDainian Tomlinson is 3rd all-time in touchdowns behind only Jerry Rice and Emmitt Smith, so with 162.
Oh, there's that too for Emmitt Smith.
Speaking of Emmitt Smith, that's who I have as well. He has the NFL record for career rushing touchdowns, seasons with at least 1,000 rushing yards, 11, as well as the record for career 100-yard rushing games at 78. He won 4 rushing titles, 2-time MVP, 3-time Super Bowl champion, and Super Bowl MVP. And yes, he did play with a very good Cowboys team. But I mean, Zach, you said some of it. Almost 19,000 yards. He's top 3 all in all-purpose touchdowns for a skill position. I think he's got a. I think his resume is pretty hard to beat.
It definitely is. But I will say, though, that another thing on Emmitt Smith, I don't know if you can necessarily say he was the complete focal point of that offense because they also had Aikman and Irvin. But no, yeah, he was the guy in that offense still. Maybe not like the total focal point, but he was a stud. But I remembered back to just real quick. I just wanted to throw this out there for Jim Brown. He played 9 years. In 8 of those 9 years, he held the NFL rushing title.
That's crazy.
That is just stupid. But
he's like the wilt of the NFL in terms of
but I just
his competition level was not great, but he completely dominated to a level that we've never seen before or since.
Yeah, I just remembered that. I was going to say that earlier. I thought it needed to be thrown out there, but go ahead, Nick. Who are you for?
I don't know if we have the same list, but I have Daniel Tomlinson at 4 as well. I think he is the shiftiest running back in NFL history, apart from Barry Sanders. I don't think it's
amazing
really close
footwork
either. Yeah. I also think his longevity is kind of underrated for a position that has become less and less valuable, especially during when he played. And like you said, 28 touchdowns in a single season is absurd. You mentioned Eric Dickerson too. I think Eric Dickerson and Marshall Faulk are kind of the two guys that are right there.
Those two guys deserve a shot. For me, 4 for me was Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Eric Dickerson were the 3. And I think LT, I mean, you guys hit him. But for me, he'd be like 5. And then Dickerson is a shout-out for sure.
Dickerson, Faulk, Emmitt Smith, obviously, I think you have to have right there as well. And like we said, after you get through the top 3, it's kind of just like whatever you prefer.
I mean, it's kind of the same with every position, honestly. Like, once you get past the top 3, it's like a bunch of guys that deserve to be there, but it's just you got to pick one.
Yeah.
And the other guys deserve shout-outs.
Yeah. But yeah, you hit on the head with LT. I'm not biased because I'm not a Chargers fan. I just think he's a better running back than Emmitt Smith and Marshall Faulk and Eric Dickerson were.
Which is valid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about Emmitt Smith, but I didn't put him on this for the same reason I didn't put Frank Gore on this. I don't really value the all-time stats that highly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Frank Gore at all, but
Frank Gore just played for forever.
Yeah.
He's got 3rd or something.
yeah,
All-time rushing
he played
guys.
for way longer than any other running back.
Yeah.
You've also probably seen a lot more of LTs in film.
Yeah, I definitely did take that whole offensive line thing into account with Emmitt Smith because I was actually very close to doing Eric Dickerson at 4, but I just thought I know you don't really consider stats too highly, but I mean those are pretty dang eye popping stats for a running back. So
It's just when I'm looking at the 4 greatest, he ran really well for the longest, but he's just running in a straight line. I feel like I had to pick someone who has a lot of skills and was able to get stats too.
Yeah.
Valid.
That's all. I'm not mad about an Emmitt Smith pick though. I could do that too.
Yeah.
They're right there.
Yeah, for sure. Like most of the guys.
Yeah.
It's kind of just whatever you prefer.
Shall I move on to the receivers?
Oh, it's receiver time.
Before we go, I think wide receiver for me was the easiest to get in order by far.
Mine, it took me a second, then I was like, all right.
My
I'm
top,
stupid, and then I figured
my
it
top 2 was real easy, and then 3 and 4 were, I don't know. I wasn't super comfortable with 3 and 4, honestly.
I wasn't comfortable with 4 at all. I didn't know who to put 4.
Yeah, I wasn't super comfortable with my receiver picks, to be honest with you. But I think we all, I'm assuming we all have Jerry Rice at 1.
Of course.
Yeah. That's the
Actually,
same
have
thing.
Randy Moss.
Same thing with Brady.
I'm just kidding.
Same thing with
Yeah,
Brady.
do we need to discuss what Jerry? Everybody knows the man had.
If you think Randy Moss is a better receiver than Jerry Rice, you're a moron.
You really are.
You are not being
Rice
serious.
Rice had almost 23,000 yards. He almost had 200 touchdowns, 13-time Pro Bowl, 10 All Pro, 3-time Super Bowl MVPs, 2-time. He's done more than any other receiver's ever done. I'm pretty sure that all of his receiving records, except for the single season yards, it still stands to this day. I'm pretty sure. So I don't even think we need to discuss Jerry Rice much.
Yeah.
Didn't he have 22 touchdowns as a receiver? in
Yeah,
one
something like
season?
that. Yeah.
And I think he only played 14 games or something that year too. It's absurd.
I mean, what he did is just unreal, and like he like never got tired. Like he had great hands, great route running. I mean, the dude was like he didn't have. I mean, like he never ran out of gas. He never he was like the ultimate receiver. Like he never. There was nothing wrong with him. Like there was nothing that you can pick on with Jerry Rice. Like he was the dude.
Yeah.
Like
He was one of the most perfect players in NFL history, probably the most.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
we
he
were
was
talking-
unreal.
We were talking off camera about like he could potentially be like the greatest like football player like ever.
He's my
Very
number
well
one.
could be.
He's my number
Yeah.
one.
So, and I mean, you said if you look in the record books for receivers, it's Jerry Rice, Jerry Rice, Jerry.
He
Rice.
has
It's
it all
his
but one.
personal
I'm pretty sure.
diary,
Yeah,
like,
he does.
He played so long ago. I don't even know if anyone's going to break those
No,
all-time records.
that's the crazy thing too.
I mean, he had
Calvin Johnson took one. He took the single season
Yeah.
yards, but other than that, it's like no, like this stuff is
that guy is
not
such
even
a
close.
freak too.
like Calvin Johnson's a one like
Like
once in
a generation
Yeah.
type receiver.
And he only touched one of those
record.
records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it is unreal what Jerry. I mean, that is a consensus pick.
Jerry Rice finished his career with almost 23,000 yards and
Yeah.
197 touchdowns on 1,500 receptions.
Unbelievable.
And he played for 20 years at a
He
receiver.
was like the best receiver in the league for like 18 of those 20 seasons
Yeah.
too.
He
Like he
retired
was
at-
obscene.
He retired at 42.
And he was a receiver.
I mean,
unreal.
at
Like he
age-
wasn't
at
a
age-
quarterback playing that old.
At age 40, he had 7 touchdowns and 1,200 yards.
Like he had a 1,200 yard season at age 40 with the Raiders.
with the Raiders. Yeah.
That's just so outrageous, man. Jerry Rice was the man. So he's everybody's one, right?
Yeah.
I think we'll have the same two, probably.
Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Randy Moss.
Yeah, I mean, Randy Moss was arguably, well,
He
not
was diet Jerry Rice.
Randy Moss was not arguably one of the most athletic players to ever play the position,
Yeah.
hands down. And he played for 16 years. Everybody knows about his Thanksgiving Day game where he had 3 catches for 162 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, what the heck?
One of the most infamous photos in NFL history.
I mean, yeah, 6 Pro Bowls, 15,000 yards, 156 touchdowns. Yeah,
There's not much more
Dude's
to
a beast.
discuss.
There's really not. He was a stud.
He's number 2.
I mean, in 2007, he got the single season record for touchdowns at 23.
He did have that too. I forgot about that. That was the Patriots 16-0 season.
Yeah, he had 23 touchdowns and almost 1,500 yards.
Yep.
At 30.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and he wasn't even in his 20s at that point. He was 30 years old. Because he had his whole Vikings career before that too. Yeah, he was Randy Moss was crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 3 will be.
And 3 will be interesting.
Yeah. This is where it got uncomfortable for me. I'm not super comfortable with any of these, honestly. But I have Steve Largent at 3. He played for the Seahawks 14 years. He had 13,000 yards, 100 touchdowns. He was a 7-time Pro Bowler. And I think that for me, the most impressive thing about him is, obviously he did all of that with the Seahawks. The Seahawks were not very good.
God awful.
Yeah. But I think the most impressive thing for me with him is that when he retired in 1989, which was right in the midst of Jerry Rice's ungodly career. And when Steve Largent retired, he held every single receiving record. So it was like when Rice retired. Yeah. When Largent retired in 89 at that point in time, he had every single receiving record. So that's about as impressive to me as it is when Jerry Rice retired, So, yeah, I personally, that's why I would have him at 3.
I got Calvin Johnson at 3. For the reason, if you made like a perfect receiver in a lab,
It would be Calvin Johnson.
it would be Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
The guy was gigantic. He was insanely fast.
Yeah.
He could jump super
Great
high.
hands. I mean, his highlights are him like catching the ball over like 4 people.
With the Lions.
It was
Matthew
insane.
Stafford.
Another Lions guy.
Yeah. Well, he's the Barry Sanders of
receivers.
Receivers.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they had that happen to him twice. Best player of all time just fell into their lap, and
They didn't do anything with
Yeah.
it. He played
It's
9
crazy.
years.
yeah, I think he is the best receiver ever. Probably, if you want one receiver for a game to win the game, I think you'd pick Calvin Johnson.
I don't hate that.
I mean, I would take Rice personally
Yeah.
if that's the scenario. But I don't. I mean, I see what you're saying though.
Calvin Johnson,
makes
I
sense.
think, is the only player or only receiver that could single-handedly win you a game. Like, just
Yeah.
throw the ball up to him and he will come
Well,
down.
he pretty much did that for 9 years.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them, but
But and then I think the infamous picture of him on the goal line with 2 corners literally guarding him.
Yeah.
Like
He was
pressing
getting
him.
double-teamed by the Bengals at the line of scrimmage.
Like and that wasn't like a scheme double
No.
team where you have the corner and then you have like you bring the
You
safety
put
over.
2 of them.
They literally
Like a
put 2
punt-
guys on pressing,
and they still
on him.
couldn't stop him.
yeah,
So yeah, and I think
unreal.
yeah,
Athlete.
I do think that he is like the ultimate like receiver. Like how I
Like
said
if you make a receiver in Madden, like you make Calvin.
yeah, like it's like the lab thing you said.
He was like 220 something pounds.
he was 230 some odd pounds,
It ran like a 4.3, I think.
6'5".
and he was 6'5".
Yeah, that's just
That's
stupid
like
athletic.
that's literally something out of Madden.
Yeah.
It literally is. No, and I think, and that's why I said earlier I had to say one of with Randy Moss because Calvin Johnson is the most athletic receiver, and Randy Moss is probably second.
I feel like it's not even close, too. Like
I mean, Randy Moss was like 6'4", so he was tall. But like the thing with Calvin Johnson is the dude was legitimately Megatron.
Yeah.
6'5", 230 some odd, 4'3", like unreal.
Hands like Velcro.
Just a
Yeah.
massive human being. Moving at his like speed.
it was unstoppable.
Yeah, it really was.
I mean, he made the Hall of Fame at what, like 35 or
That's
something
true,
like
too.
that.
He had an entire Hall of Fame career and got inducted by the age of 35, and he retired at 30.
Yeah, which is insane.
So, yeah.
If only the freaking Lions, man. He said he would play longer if he wouldn't play for the Lions.
I think he actually
Like, he
tried.
came out
I
and
think
said
he
he
tried
wanted-
to leave the Lions, and the Lions said, "No, we aren't getting
we're
rid
not
of
trading you."
They did.
And so
I
he's
think,
like, all right, screw you. I'm
I think
retiring."
that's. I think that actually is what happened. I think
No, it was.
It was like he was 30, and he was like,
I want to be traded.
he requested a
Like,
trade.
no.
He requested a trade, and they said no, and he was like, all right, I'm retiring then.
I think he was having concussion issues, too.
Yeah.
The team was covering it up.
Yeah, back when
Just
Yes,
Yeah,
pretty much.
valid.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
When it comes to like player empowerment. I mean, Rob Gronkowski, who we'll talk about in a minute, kind of did the same thing. He got traded to the Lions. He's like, nope, I'm retiring.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's hilarious.
He said, can't trade for me. I'm retiring.
See, that's what Calvin Johnson should have done. He should have just like, well, I guess he was already.
He was
on the
already on
Lions,
the
but
team,
yeah,
yeah.
no, dude, that's funny. I forgot about that.
He was like, well, if you can't trade me, I'm retired. Then he went to the Bucks and won another Super Bowl.
You can't trade me. I'm retired. I don't know what you're talking about. And then he went to the Bucks and won again. Oh man, screw the Lions, man. Nobody likes them.
I want to see the Lions succeed, but not.
Detroit
if you
is
keep-
where-
I kind of don't though. I'm gonna be honest with
I
you.
do.
Detroit is where players go to die.
Yeah, that is so.
You get drafted to
valid.
Detroit, you're going to have a short career. We're never going to hear of you again. Like, did
You might
see-
be a Hall of Famer though.
Did you see that picture of Cade Cunningham? Dude looks like he's
He
been-
looks like he's seen some
Yeah, dude. He looks like
unfathomable
he looks like he's lived on the
things.
streets of Detroit for 5 years.
He's like got a raggedy beard and an afro.
yeah.
What did they do to
I
him?
said-
so old.
Yeah, I said average Detroit man.
Dude, it is like Detroit is the Gotham. Like it is like Gotham.
Gotham
City.
City.
It is, dude.
Their best team in sports history was the Bad Boy Pistons, who were literally famous for beating up other teams.
Yeah. Bill Lambier and
Yep.
Isaiah Thomas and
Dennis Rodman.
Joe Dumars, like
yeah, they're known for just being thugs on the court.
Yeah, man.
quite literally beating up the opposition's
Yeah.
best player, and
Like
nothing
actually
happened to them.
assaulting.
That's
them.
not even a joke. They would like
Yeah.
take their knees out and stuff.
I mean, Bill Lambier and Dennis Rodman's like only reason to be on the floor when they're with the Pistons was to hurt people.
Yeah.
And to get rebounds.
I know this turned into a Detroit rant for about 5 minutes.
It did. Let's circle it back,
Like
Evan.
the
Who's
Arthur
your three?
Smith rant.
Oh gosh, that was bad. That was that was
Arthur
rough.
Smith
Did you
rant is
see
a
that?
classic.
Oh,
You have to show you
He
the
spent
Arthur
like
I
20
went-
minutes ranting about how Arthur Smith is the worst head coach. He should
the last podcast, I went on a 20-minute just absolute rant on how the Falcons need to immediately fire Arthur
He
Smith.
literally looked in the camera and said he needs to be gone today. Like he needs to
I mean, okay, like they have.
we're not getting into this.
Well, I'm just saying, like they have a like generational tight end talent. Kyle Pitts has the ability to be the best tight end of all time, and the man has 2 touchdowns in 2 years. I mean, I need not say no more. Arthur Smith must be fired today.
Still stands by it. All right, back to the conversation at hand. So this may or may not be a hot take, not really sure, but I have Terrell Owens at 3.
That's a good pick.
6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, ended his career with 16,000 yards, 153 touchdowns. Another one of those big dudes, 6'3", 224. I mean, he had a lot of success really everywhere he went to. Played for San Francisco, played for Philly, played for Dallas.
He played for a million teams. He played for the Bengals.
He played for the
at one point,
Bengals
too.
for 1 year. I mean, he had multiple 1,000-yard seasons, multiple double-digit touchdown seasons. I mean, he's not like the absolute freak that Calvin Johnson is, but he's pretty good. So I think Terrell Owens is up there. But I also it's really hard to put Calvin Johnson not up there too, because I mean you hit it all. So that was the only one that was tough for me was that spot, but I gave the edge to T.O.
I also have T.O. at 3. And like you said, it's really hard to put Calvin Johnson because Calvin Johnson's my 4. It's really hard to put him below all those guys, but I don't think it's fair to all the other 3 dudes that had similar ability but also played longer. Mm-hmm. So that's my reasoning for having T.O. above Calvin Johnson at 4. People talk about his character issues. I don't think that's that big of a deal with Terrell Owens. There have definitely been worse players in NFL history in terms of character problems. AB.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Sean Watson. But I mean, Terrell Owens, almost 16,000 yards, 6-time Pro Bowler, about 15 yards a catch, 15 years in the league. He was a stud at the wide receiver position. I don't think he really cared about he cared about winning, but he wanted to be the reason his teams won.
Yeah.
There's that. I think he was an incredibly emotional, incredibly impactful player for all the teams he played on. So that's why I would have T.O. at 3.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have that famous picture with him eating popcorn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also got the
After
"That's My
scoring a
Quarterback"
touchdown.
clip where he gets emotional in a press conference.
But I got Calvin Johnson at 4. We hit it.
We hit that.
We hit Calvin Johnson.
Shame on Detroit for wasting the career of Calvin Johnson.
Sell the
Dude,
team the new
Unbelievable.
Calvin Johnson would probably we would have seen a lot more of him, and he would have probably just now retired.
Yeah.
He would have probably played in his mid-30s.
He would have been an elite wide receiver for about 5 more years.
Yeah, probably.
The guy was unreal.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know if this is a controversial pick. I have Larry at 4th.
Fitzgerald?
Yeah, made very few mistakes.
I've seen him high on a lot of lists.
The guy has more tackles than drops through his career. Fun fact.
Yeah.
He just was a really good receiver a really long time. I put him on. I didn't have T.O. He's a locker room cancer.
I
think
I
it's
agree with
understated, the effect that has, because he would get in the locker room, he'd get a couple buddies on his side, and he'd go against whatever fucking coach or whatever he didn't like.
Yeah, I agree with that about
that
T.O.
is
for sure.
Hugely detrimental to team success.
Yeah.
Nicholas, his character wasn't
just-
that
I
bad.
just- I just
He's an
think that
absolute
his-
cancer in the locker
I
room.
think
He
his-
was.
I
He
think
was.
his ability outweighs his character by a long shot.
His ability does, yes, but
It outweighs it, but the character problems still bring him down out of my top 4.
it's still
just-
he's not my top 4. I would take. I mean, obviously the 3: Rice, Moss, and Johnson, but I think Steve Largent is completely deserving of the top 4.
I almost did
Largent.
Steve Largent, too.
I think Steve Largent is completely deserving of the
I don't
top
think
4
Steve
spot.
Largent is anywhere near the ability of Terrell Owens.
Absolutely not.
I'm just going
not.
to be honest with you.
He's done.
He's a
I mean,
pioneer of that position.
he is, and I think. I mean, the fact that he had every record when he retired. I mean, Terrell Owens didn't have every record when he retired.
I didn't really do a whole lot of pioneer picks on mine.
He was the OG, gritty, hard worker, white receiver.
I think Largent's deserving of it. I mean, obviously,
I just think T.O.'s a better receiver than Fitz. That's just where it comes down to, in my opinion.
Fitz was just so consistent, though.
He was.
He just didn't really make mistakes.
Yeah,
His numbers are really up there because of that.
And he played.
Well, I will say this about Larry Fitzgerald: when he got in the postseason, he was a freak in the playoffs.
And he
just almost never got in the postseason in his whole career.
And he played a very long time too. He had a long.
He just retired in 2020.
Long career, great player, one of the most consistent, most reliable receivers to ever play the game. I don't have him in my top 5, but like I don't. I
think we need to shout out Chris Carter.
Yeah, Chris Carter, you got to shout out Chris Carter.
Best hands in NFL history.
Chris Carter was a freaking stud.
I'd probably have
I
Chris
wouldn't
Carter
have him in
as
the
like
top 4.
5 or 6.
I mean, I don't have him in my 4 or 5 either, but he's 6 or 7. Probably.
I also think I touched on him earlier. I think we need to talk about Antonio Brown too. I think he needs to be up there.
Prime AB.
Prime AB was not arguably the best receiver. He had the best 3-year stretch by any receiver in NFL history.
He was a dog.
If I was gonna put Antonio Brown on, I'd put like Julio over him.
Yeah, I'm not really taking.
I'm not really on that train.
No, I'm not.
I think we need to shout out Antonio Brown.
I'm not really on the Antonio Brown train either. I would take Julio Jones over Antonio Brown for sure. No, I undoubtedly would. Julio Jones is a freak.
Yeah, for longer.
Yeah, Antonio Brown is not on mine.
There's also a lot of his stuff that got overshadowed for his antics.
His weird ass did not even.
5.
You want to talk about character issues?
No, Antonio Brown was not even in my mind of top 5 receivers. That was not even a guy I can pop. I had Michael Irvin deserves a shout out.
Yeah.
Terrell Owens, Steve Largent, Larry Fitzgerald.
If you want
guys
an
like
old
that,
guy pick, you can do like Don Hudson.
Don Hudson was a good one that I saw on a lot of different lists and stuff too.
Don Hudson over.
If you want an old guy pick,
I don't want an old guy pick.
No, dude,
Pioneer pick.
Modern.
Antonio Brown never popped in my mind.
Yeah.
I did see him on one list that I was looking at, but I was like,
no.
I tried to not look at any list.
I don't think he does.
Vontaze Burfict did mess him up.
No, I don't.
No, but yeah, he does.
He does own the Bengals.
I don't think Antonio Brown deserves a shout out. Just be
Shout out to Antonio Brown.
And I'm not just saying that because he played for the Steelers.
Antonio Brown is an awful person.
Hotel pool enjoyer.
Dude, if Antonio Brown played for the freaking Cardinals or whatever, I'd still be saying this. I don't think he deserves a top 10 spot.
Avid pool enjoyer Antonio Brown.
Have fun getting sued by the Arena Football League because you were a horrible manager and your team got team got kicked out of the Arena Football League. They kicked him out because
they didn't want the negative press with Antonio Brown owning a team in their league.
He literally got the entire team kicked out of the league.
Wow.
He was also playing and he was coaching and being the manager for an Arena Football
Antonio
team.
Brown is such a freaking moron. But why would you not take Julio Jones? Because Julio Jones is bigger, taller, stronger, faster.
I think AB at his apex was better than Julio ever was.
I mean, AP at his apex was the best receiver, and Julio Jones was still there.
I mean, yeah,
they're both great. But I think, obviously, Julio had a lot.
I never thought Antonio Brown was just oh my gosh, this dude is so good. I never thought that.
He was really good.
He was really good, but I was never oh, this guy is Justin Jefferson or something. I was no. He was a good player, yeah, but
Antonio Brown is being disrespected.
I mean, he had.
I'm not shouting.
He had
out.
one.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he had a.
No, okay.
He had a 3-year stretch of 1,700 yards, 13 touchdowns, 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns. Then he followed that up with 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, then 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had a good stretch. He had that 3-year stretch there. He was a top receiver in the NFL for sure, but he wasn't I'm not putting him in the top 10 of all time. No.
He had probably he had a GOAT level pace, you could say, if he kept going at that rate, but I don't know.
Yeah. He aggressively fell off and
all the other stuff.
Completely lost what I was going to say there.
Lost his mind?
Well
yeah,
my
he lost
4
his mind,
is Steve Largent, by the way.
Yeah.
For all the reasons you said.
Where would you have Antonio Brown?
Somewhere in the top 10. Easily.
Oh, yeah, I can put him in the top 10.
Easily. Top
Yeah.
10.
I don't
Easily
even know if I'd do that.
I could see
I'd
that.
probably put him at 8, 7 or 8.
No, surely not 7. Good Lord, how good do you think this guy was?
We've all watched it.
I know. I watched this man play, and I don't think he was a 7th best receiver to ever play football.
I think he's.
I could put him at 8.
I got a podcast segment for next podcast.
I mean, if I'm like really, I could see 9 or 10 maybe.
We'll do a Would You Rather all-time Antonio Brown edition.
Would you rather all-time Antonio Brown or medicine?
I mean, I don't hate Antonio Brown.
Because I am
I just don't
interested to
think
see
he was
how.
that good.
I can't believe I'm pushing an AB agenda right now.
I can't either.
I'm interested to see how far you'll go on that. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
All right, let's stop talking about the Steelers. I can only talk about the Steelers.
We need Nick's number 4.
That 4 is
Calvin
I don't know that one.
My 4 is Calvin
I
Johnson.
feel like you said that.
Yeah.
That just kind of threw me for a loop there a little bit because I was like, huh. Like I don't know.
Interesting.
I find that an interesting take.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the last but not least position group for the day. My fellow tight ends.
This one's tough.
The tight ends.
This one's tough, I think.
Shout out to the tight ends.
This is a position that has changed so much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this one was pretty tough, and I know you guys are gonna kill me for my picks here, but I know this one was pretty tough.
Well, who do you have?
So my
Number 1.
you guys are gonna freaking kill me after this, but my I have Rob Gronkowski as number 1. I know it. I knew you were gonna kill me, but he's a 5-time Pro Bowler, 4-time Super Bowl champion. He's got almost 10,000 yards receiving. He only played 11 years. I mean, pretty short career. I think Gronk at his prime was just absurd. I mean, he was the best tight end of all time, I think, in his prime. I really do. I think he was...
Yeah, he's the most dominant tight end.
He was absolutely dominant. Him and Brady were an unreal duo. I mean, him and Brady were like Mahomes and Kelsey before Mahomes and Kelsey. I mean,
The made in a lab thing applies to him.
to tight end for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gronk was absolutely unreal. So and honestly, like this one was tough for me because I don't really know of a lot of all-time great, just dominant tight ends. I can think of a few, but I would probably have Gronk at 1 as of right now.
Let's see. I don't think I have these ranked. Hold on. Okay, number 1, I'm going Tony Gonzalez. I think it's a safe pick. He's got all the stats. Played a really long time. I just don't think. I mean, Gronk only played 11 years. I think to be the greatest at the position, you got to be pushing 20. Personally, that's just how I feel. So yeah, I got Tony Gonzalez number 1.
I also have Tony Gonzalez.
It's kind of the same argument with like Calvin Johnson, so I can see why you don't have him at 1.
Yeah. I mean, Tony Gonzalez basically he revolutionized the tight end to what it is modern day. Like he was more of a pass catcher, wide receiver than a true blocker.
Yeah.
To what they were. I mean, he's an ex-basketball player, so he's super athletic. He ended his career with 1,300 catches, 15,000 yards, 111 touchdowns, which I think leads tight ends all time. 6-time All-Pro, 14-time Pro Bowler. I think he has the best resume, like overall, for tight end. So I think Gonzalez is first.
Yeah, and
There were certainly better players that played tight end, but I think the resume is too much.
this is.
I mean, he's probably not the most talented one, but
No.
if you look at overall body of work, I think it's hard to.
This is one that I can very easily be persuaded to have Gonzalez at 1. I just went with Gronk.
Yeah.
I think mine is going to be the most controversial selection in this whole thing. I have Kelsey at 1. I've seen enough of Travis Kelsey play, especially over the last 5-6 years. I'm done pretending like he's not going to be the best tight end ever by the time he retires. So I'm just going to give him this mantle now. He is always, always, always open at any point.
Yeah.
At any possible metric offensively. If you need a guy to give it to, it's Travis Kelsey. He's always there like that.
Yeah, for sure.
The play doesn't have to be designed. It can be designed for him. It can be an audible. It doesn't matter.
He can run around.
He can run around. Yeah, he can play backyard football.
Which I think him and Mahomes do a lot.
And Travis Kelsey, he doesn't have the best resume. He's not more physically dominant than Gronk. He doesn't have a better resume than Tony Gonzalez. But I think
Turn on a freaking game on Sunday.
Yeah,
and
just
the
watch
guy
Travis
play.
Kelce play.
I mean, you saw this year the Chiefs' weapons room was nothing to write home about, and Travis Kelce carried.
The Chiefs' weapons, I would consider, were bad this year. Outside of Travis Kelce, they were
Travis
bad.
Kelce, how many touchdowns?
They didn't have a dominant receiver, but they were reliable guys.
Travis Kelce had 12 touchdowns.
I wouldn't call them bad.
I would say the Chiefs' receiving core was mid-20s, I would say, this season. Of all teams, I would say. Early to
Mid-20s?
mid-20s, yes.
I mean, he had 110 catches,
Led by
almost
Kadarius Toney.
110 catches,
They're
over
good
1,300
prospects.
yards,
They're
12
good,
touchdowns.
reliable receivers.
Those receiver numbers.
Yeah.
That's the
he's
thing,
got
Kelce-
over 10,000 yards receiving.
Yeah, Kelce puts up wide receiver one.
He's only played 9 seasons in the league.
Which is why it's a little bit difficult because in the
I
last
couldn't put him number one.
decade, the position has changed drastically.
I think Travis Kelce's been a huge part in changing that position. Though.
Oh, absolutely.
The man puts up wide receiver one numbers week in and week
I mean,
out.
Kelce was putting up over 1,000-yard seasons before Mahomes even got there. So
Yeah.
saying he's a product of Mahomes is
He's
not
not.
true.
That's just not true.
He's dominant because of Mahomes.
Yes.
He's
That-
dominant, but he was putting up over 1,000 yards, and he was getting stats not quite this level, but he was getting stats before he could get
2016 he had 1,100 yards on 13 yards a catch. 2017 he had over 1,000 yards on 12 yards a catch. He's not a product of Mahomes at all.
He's also a good blocker.
Yeah. And if he plays 5 more years, he's going to shatter every single record that a tight end can have.
which I very
That's
well.
a big if.
Yeah.
The guy is he's 32.
33.
He's 33, but he ain't slowing down at all. He's
a
getting better.
giant dude that runs around a lot.
Yeah, but he's getting better though.
He hasn't
Like,
really had much injury history, though.
No, I don't think he's.
It
ever.
doesn't mean it's never he's
Well, yeah,
he's
it's
gonna
just-
get injured.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
But that,
always
and see, that was my biggest thing. I mean, I know this isn't what we're talking about right now, but fantasy wise, that's why I'm always unsure about picking him because I'm like, the dude's 33 years old. He's a tight end. He's bound to get hurt. But every single year for the past 2 years, that's proved me wrong. Aggressively bad.
Well, you're not able to really hit tight ends like he used to, too. So
yeah. Like I said,
mean,
the position's
at-
changed drastically.
Gonzalez, Gonzalez has the record for tight end receiving yards. He's less.
He's
than,
record for pretty much everything.
Yeah, he's less than 5,000. If Kelce goes his current pace, he'll break it in 3 years.
And I think Travis Kelce very well could play at least 3 more years for sure.
very well.
With
could.
Mahomes as a
if he does
quarterback-
that, I'll put him at number one. But
I
hasn't
think
happened
he
yet.
very well could.
Yeah.
For reference, I have Travis Kelce at number 2 right now, and I think when Travis Kelce retires, he is undoubtedly the best of all time. It's not even going to be a question in my mind when he retires. I almost could do that today, like you said. Yeah, I mean you hit it, we hit it, but
all right, number 2. I'm gonna put Gronk at number 2. I think the dominance is unmatched. Offense ran through Gronk. A lot of those Super Bowl teams. I don't know.
it did.
Amazing blocker as well.
Yep.
I think with tight end, you got to talk about blocking too.
Yeah,
That's a big part of the position.
Yeah.
I mean, all these dudes are great blockers for the most part.
I do really like Gronk a lot though. To compare, if we're comparing him and Kelce, I like Gronk because I think Gronk's more physical than Kelce
Way more physical.
at the tight end position.
No. He was
Like
putting dudes
Gronk-
in the dirt while running.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, Kelce is more of your wide receiver tight end.
Yeah.
he's
Well,
just
Kelsey's-
he's just another wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey's game isn't really much blocking, but he's really good. But he's good
When
at
he
it.
needs to block,
He
he's
gets
really
the
good.
job done
Yeah.
when he needs to.
Gronk
It's
was
not
a
like he's bad at blocking. He's
blocking
good at
tight end
blocking.
who could
yeah,
catch.
but
Yeah.
Gronk was
He was a blocking tight end who
Yeah.
could catch.
yeah, and
He was super athletic.
Gronk was just bigger and more physical too. Gronk was 260 and he at 6'5", I think, or 6'6" maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think
He put dudes in the dirt.
Kelsey's 6'5" at 230 something, 240, I think. So I mean, Gronk was a freaking stud.
I have Gronk at 2. I mean, you guys both said it. 4-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, 4-time Super Bowl champ. He had 92 touchdowns, over 9,000 yards, 621 catches. I mean, off eye test, I mean, we just talked about it. I mean, you could easily put him at number 1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I also have Gronk at 2 because of the dominance. It's unmatched at the tight end position, including Travis Kelce, in terms of, and even though his career's not done.
Yeah.
But Gronk at his apex was, like you said, he could be made in a lab.
Yeah.
He's very similar to Calvin Johnson in that aspect of if he were to narrow down a perfect tight end, Gronk is the closest thing you would get to that.
Yeah.
And like I think he's got 4 Super Bowls.
4.
Patriots teams ran through Gronk mainly offensively.
3 of them, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I do still think that when Kelsey hangs it up, he will be.
I think Kelsey by the time he's done is going to be far and away the best tight end ever. So I'm not going to deny him that title now.
Which is
I've watched
completely
him play enough.
Which is completely fair because I was honestly this close to doing the same thing, but I just thought, Gronk,
I mean, Gronk has 15 career playoff touchdowns, which is pretty good.
Yeah,
and a lot of those came in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he had 2 in the Bucs Super Bowl.
Yeah,
with Brady.
He always showed up on the big ones for sure.
Yeah, Gronk was he was a fun tight end to watch.
And
that's
I mean,
for sure.
he retired earlier than Kelsey did. So.
Yeah, Gronk played 11 years.
And Kelsey's still.
I think Kelsey's only played 9 though.
He's 10. He's played for 10.
He got drafted in 2013.
He didn't play his rookie year though.
He didn't play his rookie year.
No, he didn't play a single game.
Why? He just didn't play at all.
I don't know why he didn't play, but
They probably had a tight end in front of him.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, I guess he's only played 9 years then.
He's been.
yeah.
Came out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, good old Cincinnati.
Yes, sir.
Charlotte Bearcats. All right, numero cuatro.
Yeah. So
I've
got
It's 3.
Did we do 3?
No.
Oh, my fault. 3. Sorry. Tres.
yes.
Sorry.
At 3, I finally have the guy that I've been disregarding, and you guys have already said I have Tony Gonzalez at 3.
That is criminally low.
It might be, I don't know, but I just think, I mean, Travis Kelce's going to be the best ever, and Gronk, I think, is right there too. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I got Gonzalez at 3. We covered him already. So, what do you got at 3?
Antonio Gates.
I knew he was coming for you. I knew it.
Touchdown record holder, I believe. He was like Tony Gonzalez. He was a basketball player in college.
Yes.
Never even played football, and then went to the NFL.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet. Connection between him and Rivers. I watched it a lot. He caught a lot of touchdowns. Scored a lot. Great tight end. Great blocker. I have him at 3.
I have Travis Kelce at 3. I mean, we've talked about it already. But, I mean, 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons, 16 touchdown catches in 18 career playoff games, 2 Super Bowls already, and he's still going. So, like you said, I can easily see him rising up this list as the years go by and getting up to number 1. But as of right now, I have him at 3 behind 2 all-time greats.
Yeah, I have Gonzalez at 3. We've talked about him enough. Like, all he held is a ton of records. Longevity king in terms of the tight end position, I would say. Never really won anything, but at the tight end position, that's not entirely your fault.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have Gonzalez.
He's a 14-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah. So I mean, 4. I had a couple different guys I could have picked at 4. I'm not super happy about this pick, but I took Shannon Sharp.
Not great.
I knew you wanted Antonio
Not
Gates.
great.
I knew you wanted Antonio Gates.
What does he do better than Antonio Gates?
I don't know. I didn't watch either of them play. Honestly, I'm just going off. I'm being honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. At tight end, I like that. I'm going off of stats and just off of highlights and stuff I've seen. I don't know, but I mean, I know he played 14 years. He had 10,000 yards, 62 touchdowns, 8 Pro Bowls, and 3 Super Bowls.
He's like a good Hall of Famer, but like
I believe he was on Elway's Broncos teams.
Yep. And Trent Dilfer's.
So,
he was bad on that team. He was really bad on that team, though.
but yeah, that's just who I chose to go with. I knew you were gonna hate that because I know you wanted Antonio Gates in there, but
He's just way better than Shannon Sharp.
That's just it. The guys that I was debating between were Sharp, Gates, and who did I say it was? Ozzie Newsome, the Browns guy. Those were the 3 that I was kind of debating on, and any of the 3, honestly. I mean, Shannon Sharp is definitely one of the all-time greats at tight end for sure. I mean, he's in the top 6.
Yeah, he's in top 5.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't think that's really that outlandish.
You wanted to score. Antonio Gates was there. You know, I think he was the first tight end to be like that.
Like Kelsey.
Tony Gonzalez played before.
Tony Gonzalez has way less touchdowns.
All right. Who's your 4?
Travis Kelce.
Oh, okay.
He will be number 1, but right now he's number 4.
Yeah. Travis Kelce was the only guy that is like actively playing that I have on this list.
Same.
So that's pretty.
I think so for me too. Yeah.
Yep.
Defense is different. But
Well, defense is different.
Defense
but-
is different.
Yeah, because I think we all know one.
yeah.
That's a different story for a different day, though.
Yeah.
I think everyone watching.
That's the
already
next
knows.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tune into that one for a big surprise.
Yeah, that'd be good. I got you, Peyton. I got Antonio Gates at 4.
Let's go.
I mean, you said it. All-time leader in career touchdown catches with 116. 6th on career list for all players, which is really impressive.
Tight end, that's crazy.
Yeah.
8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. Ended his career with almost 12,000 yards, 116 touchdowns, obviously. I mean, he was just an animal, like you said. You pretty much covered it. So yeah, I got him at 4, rounding out my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with them too. I'm also
Let's
gonna
go.
take Antonio Gates.
Team Antonio Gates.
I gotta be different, man. It might be a bad take, but gotta have something.
He's a similar guy where you can just throw it up in the corner of the end zone and he will come down with it most of the time. You need all reliable in the painted turf or grass or whatever you're playing on. Antonio Gates is there. 116 career touchdowns, like you said, 6 all-time for all players, which I didn't even know until you said that. That's crazy.
I didn't even know that until you said that either.
Pretty
I'm mildly regretting
Antonio
that.
Gates never won anything, and he played for a small market, so he's going to be underappreciated.
Hey, don't hate on San Diego. That place is freaking nice.
I
just
didn't
there.
say
but it
it's
was
not
in
nice.
City.
I said it was a small market.
I was just there, and that is a great city. All right.
Shout out San Diego.
Yeah, you better.
Even though the Chargers aren't even in San Diego anymore.
Well, they should be.
I cannot believe they
Makes
moved
me
them out
so
of San
mad.
Diego.
I hate the ownership so much.
Hey, SoFi's very nice though, but they should still be in San Diego.
Yeah.
Screw the Lions and the Chargers.
Yes.
No, the Chargers ownership.
I
The
wouldn't-
Lions in general.
I
are
wouldn't
the
say
same
screw the
Dean
Chargers.
Spanos needs to sell the team.
I would say screw you.
And I mean, while we're saying it, just might as well put Justin Herbert in. No, just
Yeah.
kidding.
Oh yeah,
It's
we
all
don't.
right.
Yeah,
Number
just
1
kidding.
QB.
we're not going to
just
even
kidding.
get on that
Cannon
topic.
for an arm.
That's
Come on.
that's a topic
He's top
for
5
a
all
different
time.
podcast.
Physical talent.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert.
better than Mahomes.
Yes.
Better than
Holmes, man.
I literally
He's
never
the
said
Calvin
that.
Johnson of the modern.
Oh yeah.
This is a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah, but Antonio Gates is going to be criminally underappreciated forever. That's just how it is. But I watch football.
Not necessarily. The man is like
You
4 or 5.
you criminally underrated him.
One thing.
That's
criminally
I will admit right here on live that was a bad take.
You should have went with Kellen Winslow.
You should have gone with Mike Ditka.
Yeah, there you go.
Greg Olson
Yeah.
at number
Yeah,
Greg
should have went Greg
Olson.
Olson or Jason Witt.
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham was good for like
2 whole seasons.
2 years.
One more Antonio Gates thing though. Not very well rounded as a player.
No.
The guy was terrible at running routes. Like he
He
didn't.
kind of just ran somewhere and said,
The
"Throw
first
the
time he
ball."
played organized football, he was in the NFL.
Yeah.
How
'cause
did,
he was-
how
'cause he
did
was
that
in-
even happen?
Because he was an ex-basketball.
He was a college basketball player.
I know. How did he
Where'd
get
he go
to
to
the
college?
NFL?
I don't even know.
Like, how in the world did he make his way to the NFL?
He went to
boy.
Kent State.
Yeah.
How did he get to the NFL? He didn't even play football.
Because he could go.
Dude, a freaking lacrosse player made it to the NFL as a wide receiver.
Well, he at least
Yeah.
played football in college, though.
I mean, they probably just saw him and they're like, "Oh yeah, we could turn this guy."
Oh yeah, let's just take.
Well,
him for
I
basketball.
feel like most basketball players, like if they're going to be anything, it's either
they'll
wide receiver or
they'll
tight end.
translate good as a tight end or a receiver. But
Because
it's still
there's
just
been a couple of tight ends that were ex-basketball players.
No Alley Cox. Shout out.
Yeah.
But they also
Bad blocker,
more
too.
than likely played football too, though. Like the fact that Antonio Gates never
I mean,
played football to the NFL is
there's
like
crazy.
unreal.
I
I
mean,
don't even know how it's possible.
this guy obviously isn't very famous, but he played for Baylor a couple years ago. Like their fat center, he's a tight end for the Seahawks now. He's like their 3rd string tight end.
That guy's in the league.
Yeah, but he like never played football at all.
Yeah.
and he's just.
But Antonio Gates to do that and be considered a top 5 tight end of all time is
crazy.
like
pretty
how is that even possible? Like how did you get there?
Did you win the genetic lottery?
You can
I mean,
just jump up
obviously.
and
I
grab
mean, he was
the ball in the end
6'4",
zone. That's what he did.
255. So I mean,
He pretty much played basketball in the end zone.
Yeah. Just read.
He just
Boxed
got
out.
rebounds. He boxed out and got rebounds in the end zone, pretty much.
And I mean, Tony Gonzalez started dunking on the field goal post until they stupidly banned
disallowed it.
Idiots.
They disallowed it.
Relatively, the
NFL's so
NFL was
fun.
so terrible.
Hey, but they
Now it's slightly less.
I was gonna say
terrible.
they lightened up a little bit on their celebration rules.
Their celebration
That was so bad.
Never forget when Antonio Brown twerked in the end zone. They gave him a flag. That's kind of valid.
That is valid.
Yeah.
That's kind of,
Never forget when Randy Moss mooned the Packers fans.
That disgusting act.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
Yeah.
What on earth?
You did a fake moon to them.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
They do way dumber celebrations in college. Remember that Ole Miss guy that did like the
dog.
fake dog?
Yeah, and then he missed the extra
yeah.
point to tie the game.
They lost the game.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
There's some dumb celebrations out there, man.
maybe we'll have to do a list of the worst and best.
There's also
A tier list of
There's also some good
celebrations.
ones though. There's some good celebrations out there.
We'll do that at some point.
The gritty is good.
Yes.
I enjoy seeing the gritty.
I won't be on the gritty podcast.
Yes, you will. We will make you do the gritty on the podcast.
No. I won't be on the gritty.
You have to join the Gritty podcast.
Yeah, enjoy the gritty. All right, well, that's going to wrap up our NFL all-time Mount Rushmore offense edition. So stay tuned for the defensive edition, hopefully coming out later this week. But let us know what you guys thought, if you agreed with our takes or disagreed, and if you would move players on and off. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like this video and subscribe, and have a good rest of your day. Peace.